My beautiful friends, let's do a soul tribe reading. I don't think I was here yesterday or the day before for soul tribe. I think the day before I used up all my energy in a reading. I did a reading that was like an hour and 44 minutes, and afterwards I felt like wiped energetically, so I couldn't do a reading energetically. But yeah, I wanted to come on and do one today. I felt the need to grab my Starseed deck, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out. I've missed you guys. I feel like I haven't spoken to you in a few days. We're also going to be doing the chapter 16 little reminders for when you feel like you aren't quite where you want to be in life. So it's not terribly long, but intuitively I chose the Starseed Tarot for you guys. So there must be a message you need to hear in it. It took me a while to trust my intuition when it came to stuff like that. Like today, I was getting ready to do readings, and I was really trusting, my intuition, because I was feeling this very certain, I'll just tell you guys what I was feeling. I was picking up on an energy of someone, coming crashing through the doors, or someone wanting to pursue. And then I was seeing a card in my head, or in my third eye, of it's in one of my decks. It's a Dashin dog, and it says coming in for you, ready to pursue, or in hot pursuit. And I was seeing I had no idea what deck that card was from, but I kept seeing a sunflower. Like, I intuitively saw this card and a sunflower, so I chose the deck I have with the sunflower on it. And then I have ego, so I was like, should I mention that I saw that dog card in my head? Should I mention that that's the energy I'm feeling? Because sometimes people just leave really shit comments, Anyway, so I decided, yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm going to mention it. I start shuffling the deck, and halfway through the reading, what card comes out? The dog card that I was seeing. So, whenever I intuitively feel called to a deck, or intuitively feel called to do something, I'm seeing there's a reason for it now. When I was in Florida, I don't know if I mentioned this, but when I was in Florida, I was feeling intuitively guided to buy myself another pair of sunglasses, even though I had sunglasses and I didn't need more sunglasses. And we were at Disney, and there was nothing I really wanted, and my kids were all looking at stuff, and I thought I was really drawn towards the sunglasses, even though the sunglasses looked exactly like the ones I currently had. And then I bought the sunglasses, and we left the park. That was the last thing we did before we left the park. And when we got back from Disney to the hotel, we were leaving right away to go to Universal. So as soon as we got back, we had already had our stuff packed. So we just hopped right in the van that my sister had to hire a van to transport us all, because I have so many children. And then my kids are being really loud. Quiet, please. Hang on. So anyway, got in the van, and I can't find my sunglasses. My old ones. They're gone. And apparently my son had his hands on them at one point, but they were lost. And they were like my favorite glasses. And I even said when I was buying the new glasses, I'm like, I really love my sunglasses. I don't really need these. The sunglasses I have right now, like, they're my favorite. And then like 20 minutes later, my old sunglasses, poof, gone. So anyway, when my intuition tells me to do something, I do it. I trust it now. So let's get you some Starseed cards, because when I was asking my guides, or when I was thinking about doing this reading, I was seeing the Starseed deck. So I'm curious to know what you need to hear from this deck today. This is a deck, I have a lot of decks, and I feel like this was one of the first, I'm going to say, for some reason I'm feeling called to say 8. My first 8 decks. I think this was one of them. This might have been my 3rd or 4th deck that I bought. And I buy all my decks intuitively, except, I've had a lot of generous people on YouTube gift me decks. But every deck I buy, I get intuitively. I'm not one who seeks out, it's like when I go to get crystals. I used to be that way with plants. Like my friend and I got really into plants. I was just filling a void, which, I believe my friend is as well, but whatever. So we got really addicted to plants. Addicted. Do you hear that? And, the people who, like my sister-in-law and my friend, were all like, I want this kind of plant, and I want this kind of plant, and I want this kind of plant. And they'd be like, what kind of plant are you getting? And I'd be like, I'm gonna get the one that speaks to me. So I'd go in the plant place and I'd wait for one to be like, pick me. So I do that with decks as well. I intuitively choose decks. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I had kind of a quiet day yesterday. I decided to spend some time with my kiddos, and we watched a Christmas movie, even though it's not Christmas. I like Christmas movies, so we watched a Christmas movie and ate pizza, and then I colored with them. And I colored, if anybody cares, I colored a Dumbo picture because I love elephants, even though Dumbo, the movie Dumbo, breaks my heart and I have a really hard time watching it. And actually, I'm thinking about this. I've always been very triggered by the scene where she is hugging him through the bars. Sorry. As a child, I would watch that scene and I would become completely triggered. And one thing that I'm working through, which I'm sure you guys have maybe guessed this or maybe not, but I've been working through in the past year and a half some very heavy like abandonment wounds, even though, I wasn't like physically abandoned as a child, maybe emotionally. But that scene has always triggered me. And what do I always tell you guys? When something triggers you, it's because it's triggering an unhealed wound within you. And look at me, I grew up to have, abandonment issues. Interesting. There's a lesson in everything. So anyway, I was coloring a picture of Dumbo last night and it made me happy. Yes, I am a grown adult. But yeah, my plan is to do a little bit of that as well today, to go hang out with my kids and do some more coloring. So that's me. How are you? So let's see what you need to hear. I'm not feeling called to read the bottom. If it wants to come out, it'll come out, I'm hearing. So let's see what my soul tribe needs to hear. We have double mission. Lightworker, Starseed, serve the world by being you. Interesting. Double mission. So a mission, not only to heal and come home to yourself, but to help others do that as well. I'm just thinking of the me who bought this deck. I'm gonna say like dripping in ego, like not like I'm so great, not that ego, but the ego of no. Like I'd pull cards about, being a light worker and I'd be like, no, that's not for me. No. I just didn't, when I got this deck, I hadn't like surrendered to spirituality. I was still finding my way. And I can remember when I first got this deck, like most of the cards that I pulled for myself, I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. So it's interesting to, come back to it where I am now. So double mission. Double mission. Sometimes I feel like when I say double, because I speak so quickly, sometimes it sounds like devil. So yeah, let's go. It's on page 56. Beautiful. Lightworker. Blah, blah, blah. Lightworker, Starseeds. I had like a little, you see what happens. Lightworker starseeds are mission and purpose oriented. Many have the feeling that time is running out and there's something they came here to do, create, or contribute. They're here to grow as souls individually, so go on your individual mission, and also to contribute to the planet in some action-oriented way, a collective mission. Their collective mission is often answered through a career calling or by devoting their life to something bigger. Until they remember their collective mission, it can feel as if something's missing or they're forgetting something important. And I just mentioned filling a void, how I always felt like I was filling this void, and I always felt like I had a higher purpose. I always felt, and again, as a child, I was told, I was like, why do you feel that way? You're crazy. I always felt like I was supposed to be helping people in some way, but then the experience of my life, rough life, rough upbringing, wasn't exposed to like secondary education or like college and university and things like that. I was of the mindset, well, because I didn't go to university or college, how can I possibly ever help anyone? Maybe you struggle with that. It is common for lightworker starseeds to feel like they're different, and they may carry soul memories of being visible or sharing their voice. As such, they may protect themselves by dimming their light in order to fit in, or by spending time in some sort of closet, such as a spiritual closet. If you pull this card, you're being called to remember your collective mission and to step into it more fully. You're being reminded that your role as a light worker is to light up the world with your presence. This doesn't have to be a great big thing or a decision you need to make. You also don't need to have a great plan. If you resonate with being a light worker, all you need to do is work out what lights you up, your passions and joys, and keep doing that. When you trust and follow the simple path of the things that light you up, and then lose yourself in the doing, you'll light up the world without even trying. And that's why I say it doesn't just have to be like light worker is anything that brings your soul happiness, anything that lights you up and that others can see you lit up. Because when you're lit up doing the thing that inspires you, you inspire others. People will look at you and think, I could do that. And then their ego will be like, no, you couldn't. That ego. So you have a double mission, not only to heal yourself, but to spread that light, whatever it is that you're doing, and encourage others. We have big picture thinking and star keeper. So let's look at big picture thinking. The Pleiadians, is that how you say it? Are our cosmic cousins. They're here to remind us that it's never too late to learn new things and change for the future. I swear we've had this card before. You're being called to be a visionary for the planet. So if you've heard this card before, that's a good indication that maybe you didn't hear the message. Because it's coming up again. Whenever that happens for me, it's like Spirit saying, you didn't hear me the first time. So maybe the first time I read you this card, you were like, there's nothing I can do to change the future. Maybe you were in that mindset. You're being called to be a visionary for the planet, to take a breath, shake off what you've been taught about the world, and hold a new vision for humanity. So changing the way that people think about things, changing, those programmed thoughts that we were all given. Anyway. You're likely a natural big picture thinker, here to generate ideas for the future, here to birth a new age and dream a new world into being. The future will be woven by dream makers just like you. I'm hearing a song, Daydream Believer. Anyway, by those with enough courage to question the way things have been and envision new possibilities for the planet. The world needs more artists, dreamers, inventors, and visionary thinkers. Perhaps you've had an idea recently that you're being called to usher in. If so, this card is a confirmation that you're being divinely guided. So if you're thinking, maybe I should start my own business, maybe I should start a social media page, maybe I should start putting my art online, maybe I should start being a tarot reader, there's a reason you're having those feelings. The the Pleiadians, I don't know how to say that, support us in this important stage of Earth's development. They want us to know that the decisions we make today will affect the well-being of our planet and all of its species. And I'm hearing, but I'm only one person. Like, how can I change the world? That's where it starts, is what I'm hearing. They're calling on you to be a leader for the future, to hold a clear vision of what's possible, to trust that vision and follow it through daily action, to dream a new world into being, to hold your mind open and to try not to worry about what other people think. For it takes great courage to pave a new path, to trust a vision before it's a reality. Truth. And again, I don't know if I mentioned it in this reading, but it's not like a little angel's going to come down with a big shiny validation badge saying, yep, if you go after your dream, you'll do great. Everything will be great. It's not like a little angel's going to come down and give you a green flag of validation is what I'm hearing, or the green light. You have to make that decision. That's a jump that you need to make. Anyway. And we have Starkeeper. So as I'm starting to talk about this, my throat is closing over. So you could have a fear of this. You could have a fear of sharing your voice. You could have a fear of public speaking. You could have a fear of being your true authentic self. It doesn't matter what you do, what you say, people are going to judge you. I'm just going to... And, you know, I struggled with abandonment. So, of course, I struggle with people pleaser tendencies. I've spoken to you about how that's been for my channel. When I try and people please, I end up, you know, it's not the same. And, you know, people are going to judge you. It doesn't matter, even if you're doing something good. Everybody has an opinion. Like, there's going to be one critic in there. Anyway. But you could have a fear of putting yourself out there because of other people's judgments. You know, that card... Big picture thinking said you're going to have to not care about what other people think. Anyway, I need to pause it and cough because as soon as I mention this, my throat. All right, so Starkeeper, cosmic ancestor, seed the light by staying grounded. It's on page 110 and 111. You're an ancient keeper of the stars, here to anchor and seed your light in a unique way. You're likely being incarnated on Earth. You've likely been incarnating on Earth for some time, dedicated to an era of awakening and bringing about a long-awaited shift in the planet's evolution. We're at a tipping point now. The survival of Earth and all of its species is coming to a head. The more grounded you remain during this transitional period, the more helpful you'll be. The more you tend to the flames of your own heart, the more love you'll anchor onto this planet. The wisdom of the stars is imprinted in your soul. The more soul fragments call you home, the more this wisdom is seated here. You may be called to be in different places in the world to anchor this light, perhaps by taking a trip or living in a certain location. You may also find yourself experiencing awakening symptoms. So actually, right before I hit record, I was remembering that I saw something yesterday about a Kundalini awakening. And I won't talk about all the stuff the person was talking about. But one thing with the Kundalini awakening is that it affects your throat chakra. Because it's your truth trying to bubble up your spine or whatever and get out and be shared with the world. So you may be experiencing awakening symptoms. The more grounded you remain, the more stable Earth's energy will become and the less reactive humanity will be. You're here for a double mission. No way. Double mission. Confirmation. You're here for a double mission. To grow as an individual and as part of a larger collective that's bringing about a shift in frequency. Trust that you can be in the world, but not of it, and lead a truly glorious life. I have goosebumps. I have goosies. We're going to read one more, and then we'll read the book. So one last That one. That's the one. That's the one. It fell onto my heart space. Did you see that? It's the cosmic heart. Devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. Cosmic heart. When you surrender to a state of devotion, you find yourself flowing with all of life. You're being called to refocus your attention deep within, to the intelligence of your own heart, to bow with deep reverence to its inner temple, to live your life in devotion to this place, to make your life one big moving prayer. Perhaps you felt a little bit off kilter lately, sensing that the potency of why you're doing things has gotten a little watered down or weak. Perhaps you've forgotten what made you start doing them in the first place. If so, this is your call to take a moment and reconnect with the truth at the very center of your heart. Not your ego mind. My friends, your heart. Not your ego. That ego. To get back to the essence of what you're about. To devote your life to what you care most about. To turn your gaze deep, 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 deep. There are seasons for harvesting and seasons for sowing. Right now, you're being called to plant your soul's seeds and sing to them with deep devotion, to feed them with the sweet waters of your own soul, to lose yourself in the potency of what it is that most expands your heart, to live your life according to what makes you come alive rather than what everyone else thinks, to make your life one big moving prayer. So interesting. So that feels, I'm being told to get one more. Okay. All paths lead to home, inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within, which that other card was talking about, turn your gaze within to your heart space. Beautiful. I'll just show it to you. All paths lead home. Which, the next one is baby steps. So even though baby steps didn't come out, I'm going to read you the baby steps one because that's actually one of my favorite cards, and it's one that's stuck with me and I mention a lot in my readings. It's normal to look at the external world for answers and guidance. What's revolutionary is turning your gaze inward. You're being called to source your guidance from within, to study the terrain of your inner landscape, to develop a reliable relationship with your soul. The more time you spend connecting with your soul, the deeper the connection will become. The challenge for empaths is staying connected without cutting off from the world. The best way to do this is to develop a daily practice that helps you keep checking in, to draw on the wisdom within and let that be the authority in your life. If this card appears, you may be called to develop or switch up your spiritual practice, to get in the habit of turning your gaze within, getting centered for the day before consuming anything from the outside world, to start from a feeling of at-homeness and throughout each day to find simple ways to keep coming home. This doesn't mean switching off from the realities of today's world. We need as many conscious people as possible living with our eyes wide open. Rather, it's a call to start your day from a place of connectedness, grace, and devotion. So when you go out into the world and when you let the world in, you do it from an unshakable state of being, a state where you draw your strength, authority, and guidance from a place deep, deep within. And then I'm going to read you baby steps, because I can. So, yeah. I don't have the card, but we're going to read it anyway. It would be really funny if it was near the top, but I'm not seeing it. You're being called to take grounded action in response to your soul's calling, to start where you are and begin building in a consistent way. So many people stop themselves from living a soul-fed life because they're waiting to know the destination before taking the first step. But intuition doesn't work like that. Our soul is always calling to us, every moment of every day. The way to find yourself living in harmony with the cosmos is to listen to your soul's baby calls and whispers each and every day and take grounded action in the direction of those calls and whispers. You're being encouraged to start small, bite-sized, to put one foot in front of the other, to do one thing every day to break down into achievable tasks. Time on Earth goes slower than on other planets. This may cause frustration for starseeds who can expect a faster pace of manifestation and thus give up before the seeds begin to sprout. If you resonate with that, it's time to opt for consistency over urgency. Time to take baby steps in the direction of your calling. To remember that you don't need to have it all figured out or exactly where the path is leading you. You don't have to know every single step along the way before you set out on your great journey. You just need to take the first step. And remember, if you take it's weird. I thought it said it in that card. Maybe it's a different card I'm thinking of. But if you take one little baby step every day, imagine where you'll be in a year. Like when I was thinking about starting out and I was thinking like, oh, I'd like to be a tarot reader. And then I thought like of all the things I just thought of all the obstacles. I thought of like, I would need this, I would need this, I would need this, I would need this. And instead of thinking about that and dwelling on it and, drowning in it, I started just I read that card and I started doing one small thing every day towards my goal. So I want to be a tarot reader. Well, I got to learn how to read tarot. I want to be a tarot reader. I'll need a channel. So I'll think of a name. I want to be a tarot reader. So I'll need this. And just making those little baby steps is what I'm hearing. And then in a year, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, look at how far I've come. And the only way to make it that far is to start taking those steps. So let's get this book. Excuse my reach. 16 little reminders for when you feel like you aren't quite where you want to be in life. And disclaimer, I may not agree with the author of this book, as I came to realize the other day. You have come so far. Please think about where you were a year ago. Listen to this. Please think about where you were a year ago, or 3 or 5 or 7. You have scaled mountains. You have overcome things you once thought you never would. You have done things you did not think you could do, even if some of those things were just getting out of bed and facing another day. Number 2, you can live with the questions. Life doesn't start when we're set on the answers. It unfolds within the questions themselves. It's not knowing where we're going to end up, but the journey of exploration and soul searching and deep diving and connecting and seeking and ultimately arriving at our north. It's not always knowing exactly what we'll be doing in 10 years, but having the courage to pursue what feels right and comes effortlessly today. It's not always about being certain that one relationship is the end-all be-all of your existence, but showing up to it each day despite of the unknown. Certainty is the cheap way out. It's giving a final answer when you're meant to unravel the question until the answer is a piece of you. So obvious. Kind of in the way that you're kind to a child, to someone or something so innocent and endlessly deserving of your affection and praise. When we have to be kindest to ourselves, I'm having a hard time. We have to be kindest to ourselves when it seems least deserved, because that's usually when it is the most needed. Find the simplest and most obvious ways to do that. Over time, you will find that so much of the relentlessness, internal pressure, are voices you once heard and then took as your own. You probably don't need as much as you think you do. You do not need a lot to be successful. You do not need a lot to be You do not need a lot to be enough. You do not need a lot to be content, filled, and happy. You do not need as much as you think you do. And widening that gap in the name of ambition will not make you reach for more. It will only leave you emptier. Know what you need, know what you want, and draw a line in the sand. You cannot spend the entirety of your life desperately and exhaustingly seeking. You must make time to simply be. The fullest expression of your potential isn't about quantity, it's about quality. Being loved means being completely seen and embraced by a few close people, not seeing just how many people you can convince to admire you. See, right there, I don't agree with that. Being loved means being completely seen and embraced by a few close people. What if you don't have close people? Being loved, I feel, means completely seeing and embracing yourself. Just because you don't have anyone else in your life doesn't mean that you aren't loved, if that makes sense. Can I just say that? Sorry. But like, you can be loved and not have, like, some people don't have anybody in their life and they need to find that self-love within. So I just needed to say that. Sorry. Being successful, I guess what that means, I'm like taking it too literally, I guess. Typical me. But it's not about the quantity of people that love you. It's the quality of the people that love you is what this person is saying. But I just had to say that because being loved means, it says, being completely and embraced by a few close people. And that's not what being loved means. Being loved means, but anyway. Being successful does not mean making as much money as possible, but being able to wake up every day and feel grateful to be alive, even in spite of all you've been through, even in spite of fear. It is not about how much you have, but how much what you have makes you believe life is worth living. It is not about how far you might climb from yourself, but whether or not you settle in. Next one. It's normal to be uncomfortable. Discomfort is a beautiful messenger. Triggers. Remember I talk about the triggers. Unlike its sister signal, pain, discomfort often points us towards where we are most primed for growth, whereas hurt points us towards where we can no longer grow. Discomfort is what quietly communicates to us that something isn't quite right, which means that deep down we know there is an alternative path, even if we're afraid to embrace it completely. Discomfort is your friend, not your enemy. And asking it what it has arrived to tell you is the only way to coexist with it. Otherwise, you end up constantly at war with yourself. Big things happen in small steps. What were we just talking about? You might be thinking that the problem with your life is a lack of big breakthrough moments. I'm having such a hard time. Momentous achievements and distinguishable exits from the past and entries into a new and more glamorous life. You might be thinking the problem isn't that you don't live in the coolest city, or that you're not the most well-respected individual in your field, or that someone else has more than you, which means you're simply not doing enough. The truth is that big things happen in small parts. It's not about those one-off changes. It's about the accumulation of intentions you set day in and day out. You are far more defined by your daily routine than you are whether or not you moved someplace in particular or accomplished something in particular, all by an equally particular point in time. The truth is that the path will lead you to where you need to be inevitably. Holding your breath until you arrive only delays you getting there. The next one, they're not numbered, and I've already lost count of what number we're on, so I'm just going to say the next one. Nobody has it all figured out. Part of the story that occurs in our minds that make us believe we aren't quite keeping up pace with our peers is the idea that everyone else has it all figured out. And you know, when I was thinking about being a tarot reader, I would sit and I would watch the tarot readers I love to watch, and I'd be like, they have it all figured out. They know everything. They already have, a following. Like, how will I ever get that? And the truth is most of those readers didn't have it all figured out. They were learning as they went too. At some point, they were just where I was, That's why you should never compare yourself to anyone, because you're on different journeys. Do you look at the endless stream of their... Sorry, where am I? How couldn't we think that? Look at the endless stream of their accomplishments and moves and family photo shoots we see nonstop. How couldn't it appear as though everyone has it completely together and we are just scrambling to stay where we are? The highlight reel can be deceiving. Social media can be deceiving. We aren't supposed to know every detail and milestone of every person we've ever been acquaintances with since childhood. This is an experience that's distinctly unique to the digital age, and it's one we're still adapting to. Before the internet, you'd move on from a place or a school or a group, and you'd actually move on, not stay gently connected despite being geographically, mentally, and emotionally in different worlds. It's tricking you into thinking everyone you've ever known has it together, and you don't. It's just not so. The next one, you're on the right pace for a life that is yours. The truth is that right here, right now, right as you are right on time. You are running on schedule. There is no way you couldn't be, because there is no wrong way to move through the path that is your own life. When we are too certain of what's next in life, it is often because we are following someone else's path. The next one. The journey isn't about convincing yourself that you're enough, but loving yourself even if you aren't. Yes. Loving embracing your shadows, embracing the things about you that, I don't know if people ever feel like they're enough, I don't think that anybody ever feels completely perfect or completely healthy or completely enough. But it's about loving yourself even if you aren't. It's about loving yourself despite of that. On the road to believing that you're enough for this life, you will begin trying to seek out evidence that disproves your worst fears. Of course, if you are sought after to date, you are appealing, and this is not making sense in my brain. Hang on. So I guess this is saying that, maybe if you are sought after to date and you're appealing, that's what makes you worthy. Can I start this from the beginning? On the road to believing that you're enough for this life, you will begin by trying to seek out evidence that disproves your worst fears. Of course, if you are sought after to date, you are appealing, and so you are worthy. Of course, if you get into your dream school, you are smart enough for your future, and so you are worthy. And what was I talking about? How I didn't feel like I was worthy enough to help people because I didn't get into my dream school. I didn't get to go to college or whatever, clearly. I shouldn't be putting myself down like that. That was mean of me. I'm sorry, self. I shouldn't have said that. That was mean. I feel bad for saying that about myself. I'm going to have to go work on that one. Of course, if you are liked by many, social proof says you're a amicable person, and so you're worthy. Unfortunately, life doesn't usually work this way, because even when we gather all of those reasons we should believe in our worth, we really don't feel it until we decide to love ourselves, even if we don't believe we're worth it. Instead of trying to convince yourself that you're the best person ever, try instead just caring for yourself and your surroundings unconditionally. Worth is not something we earn, but something we remember as we cultivate our own care and approval. And can I just say how, I'm not going to beat myself up about it, but I was just really mean to myself when I was I didn't go to college, clearly, and then I laughed at myself. That was really mean of me. So, I'm sorry. Let's go to the next part. That was interesting. Thank you for being a part of that, because that was interesting. That wasn't very nice of me. Double mission. See, you have a double mission. You're not only helping yourself, you're helping me. You're doing better than you think you are. You are closer to a breakthrough than you believe. This is the last one. You have come farther than you remember. You are doing better than you think because your brain and body is hardwired to constantly focus on the next problem, the next threat, the next fear. Do you know what's really funny? Is I can speed read, like in my head. Like, have you ever seen those things where they flash all the words? And you can hear it when I'm trying to read. I'm like tripping over myself because I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. But my mouth is holding me back. Anyway, I don't know why I'm thinking about that. It's because I'm tripping over my words and I was just really mean to myself and I'm kind of still in that energy. This is meant to keep you safe when really it slowly fractures your heart. I'm just going to reread that because I interrupted myself. You are doing better than you think because your brain and body is hardwired to constantly focus on the next problem, the next threat, the next fear. This is meant to keep you safe when really it slowly fractures your heart. It makes you believe that nothing you accomplish is enough, that you are destined to live the rest of your life leaping from one high to the next, always bracing for the inevitable crash. Even if all you did today was keep breathing, you did enough. You are not only as worthy as you prove yourself to be. Your worth is a self-evident byproduct of the presence of your being. Maybe the point is that you stop and finally feel it. And then the next chapter, when life gives you an opportunity to change, please don't let it pass you by. So we'll read that one another day. But yeah, that was interesting. So let's get you a card of advice. I think instead of going with the messages from, I've been using that message from your spirit guides. Instead of doing that today, I love that deck. I'm going to use this deck. I'm feeling called to get you one card from this deck. We do have magnetism through gratitude coming out off the top. So let's see what one message my soul tribe needs to hear. We're just going to get one. Okay, well, there we go. I saw that. That's interesting because that is one of the only cards that I saw. That is interesting. No expectations, 22. So let's look at this. Oh, I said one card, Spirit. This one was sitting on top of the book. And the deck is right here. And the book is right here, sitting on top of the book. So I feel like you need this card, but let's read them both. 22 and 29. So, no expectations. The Black Panther represents walking into the dark and exploring the feminine power of allowing development to come from the unknown. Black Cat energy. Walking into the unknown with no expectations is the key that will open the door to your success. The no expectations medicine of this card strongly advises you not to limit yourself with ideas about how anything will unfold. Life is planning something more delicious than you can currently understand. Something profound is on the horizon, and we have a breakthrough here. Something profound is on the horizon. A breakthrough. Trust life without needing to be the dictator of how and when your manifestation will blossom into fruition. Intense expectations will only inhibit the ability of what is more extraordinary to develop. Take the risk for what you desire without the desperate need to control how it will unfold. A situation you perceive as a failure today might be what leads you to unfathomable success in 3 years. This is why an expectation of how you think things should work is futile. I just heard resistance is futile. Anyway, understand that whatever occurs in your life is meant for your growth. Our misguided steps and our mistakes are often our greatest teachers. Taking risks allows divine opportunities to present themselves. Take note, if you are met with continuous resistance and rigid expectation, This is a universal sign that another direction is more beneficial. So take a step back and allow the path of least resistance to be revealed. This is not to say you should give up, but it does warn that you may be unaligned with the flow. And what do I talk to you guys about how if something's not working, it means it's not in alignment with you. If there's resistance, if you're having to force it, ow, if you're having to rip your hair out over it, it's not in alignment with you at this time. It may also be a signal that you just have to wait a little bit longer. So if you're trying to like force something and it's not happening, it's a sign that it's not time yet. And then we have 29. Lizard brain. The medicine of this card comes when you are about to level up and have an amazing breakthrough, but you must be made aware that your lizard brain may self-sabotage. The eye opening in this image is likened to a seed ripping open to become self-realized. The reptile head on the bottom of the card represents our unconscious reptilian brain, the limbic system. This part of our brain represents fear, flight, fight, addictions, and other emotional behaviors. It hates change and thinks it can keep you safe by pulling you back from taking important risks that can lead to great success. The lizard brain will drown you in fear of potential failure and tell you to stay in the job or the relationship that makes you miserable because there's a strange safety in the familiarity of what you already know. That's, I talked to you guys about how my lizard brain was telling me, like my heart, my soul was telling me I was not happy. I wasn't in alignment. And my lizard brain was like, why would you think that? How dare you, take vows and then this and that and blah, blah, blah. So that could resonate with you guys. Hey, at least you know it's horrible, so that's safe, right? Wrong. This is just some of the garbage logic of the lizard brain, the master of self-sabotage. And again, staying in a bad job. Like I've talked about it. I'm not sure if I've talked about it in this, but I used to work for a really toxic place that I didn't see or understand was that toxic until I was out of that environment. And at the time, I was like, well, at least it pays the bills. I'm not talking about my photography job, but at least it pays the bills. I'm on my way up the ladder in this company, so I might as well just stay here. This card is about surpassing prehistoric programming of our beliefs and behaviors to evolve into who we know we can be. The art of your breakthrough is the determined effort to constantly question your perception. Take a moment to analyze a current obstacle or moment of resistance you are dealing with. This obstacle is a golden nugget moment to challenge your perception. Examine the story in your mind's eye. Even being aware that you just got hijacked by lizard brain doesn't necessarily dispel all the worry running through your body. At this moment, you may have to just move forward while still feeling fear and not fully believing in yourself. But the action of going forward is what will lead you to this critical breakthrough. That was kind of fitting to come out, in my opinion. So anyway, I'm going to leave it here, my friends. Thank you for joining me for another Soul Tribe reading. Thank you for watching me put myself down and realize that. I was not happy with myself that I did that. I was like, if somebody did that to my kid or to you, I'd be like, who do you think you are? And that's, that shows, I feel like that shows for me that I've grown now that, I used to be able to put myself down like here, there, everywhere, like all the time. I just put myself down all the time. Anyway, I'm going to go, my friends. I only have 20 seconds left on this video and I don't want it to cut off on you and be rude. So I'm going to say goodbye. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I probably won't do a reading tomorrow. I'm going to spend time with my family, but I'll be back Monday. And again, have a wonderful night. I'm sending you lots of love and light and F your lizard brain. Bye.